Like right now in front of these two?
Yeah. I dare you.
To this day,
Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
What up, Bushido Spirit, back with another video. Today I'm talking about Euphoria Season 1, Episode 1. Now this show is based off an Israeli show of the same name. This is another one of those teen dramas, and they don't just hint at things, they actually show you the things that other shows would hint at. Like, yo, that one character is sleeping with this guy, and they actually show the fucking. Or like, this girl is sucking this guy's dick, and you get that. This show doesn't hide anything. Everything is shown by lights, everything is revealed, and this may make a lot of people flinch. Now, I don't think any of these actors in this show are actually teenagers, so don't feel bad. So it is comparable to Degrassi or other shows like that. Shows like Skin, any type of teenage show that's about adolescence, growing up, coming of age stories. And we did do a trailer reaction to this show, and I want to make it a habit of doing reviews of the things that we react to, just so there's some sort of completion. You know, we don't want to just react to things and never talk about them again. So I'm doing this review of Euphoria. Now, hopefully we get the rest of the guys to watch the show so we can do a full-on discussions about things that happen in the show. But as of right now, it's just me doing this one episode here. Now, in order to do this show justice, I will have to do a character-by-character breakdown rather than a scene-by-scene breakdown, because it'll get kind of confusing if you do it that way. Now, before I continue, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit that notification icon to let you know when I drop videos. We will do more reviews like this in the future. So let's first start off with the main character, Ruth. Now, Ruth is dealing with a lot of different issues. Now, there's a montage in the intro showing her growing up. And one part of the montage shows the family go to a doctor, and the doctor says she has obsessive compulsive disorder, ADHD, anxiety, a lot of different mental disabilities. And we kind of see that there is something wrong with her, right? Because before they take her to a doctor, she's looking up at the ceiling, counting numbers on the ceiling. This causes the family to put her on medication. And then there's this time skip. She becomes a teenager. And this is where we first see her taking drugs. And we really don't know what started her addiction at this point. We just know that she takes drugs to cope with the fact that she has these anxiety attacks. She points out that her brain moves slow and the world moves fast, causing her brain to shut down. And that's when she has these attacks. But she overdoes it. She ends up overdosing, and her family sees that. Her sister sees her on the floor with vomit coming out of her mouth. She's just completely laid out. She almost dies. And this gives the whole family a scare because they've already lost somebody. The father is missing from the picture. We see the father early on, but when she becomes a teenager, the father is missing. They don't explain why the father is missing until later on in the episode. So she survives the ordeal. She ends up going to rehab, but she gets right out of rehab and continues to take drugs. And this is driving her mother crazy. It's driving her family crazy because they are scared. They are scared to death that they might lose another person in their family. And it's not really easy on Ruth as well. You know, she has ruined relationships she had with people. So she doesn't have the friends she used to have. She had to make new friends. One of which being Fez, her dealer, who has a heart-to-heart with her at a party. Zendaya does a great job in this scene. It's the highlight of the episode. Her friend, like so many people in her life, are worried, and they don't entirely understand her. They are in the same position as the viewers. So she hints at what may have caused her addiction. At 11 years old, her father is diagnosed with some sort of ailment. We don't know what it is. The doctor tells her family things are getting better, so the family celebrates. And it's in this moment she has her first panic attack. At the hospital, the doctors give her drugs to calm her down. She points out this was the moment that changed everything for her. Life is chaotic, the world moves too fast, and her brain moves slow. The only thing that can calm her is drugs. 2 years later, at age 13, her father dies, but the addiction stays. Maybe her father's health sparked the panic attacks. She points out this was the first time she ever had a panic attack. So Zendaya's character doesn't have many friends. She has Fez and she has Jill. Jill is the transgender character. Now, all of these shows have an LGBT character, but I think in this show, these characters have more nuance to them. They're not just the stereotypical type of character. Obviously, there are things that are the same. Jill, being transgender, is exploring her sexuality. She's fluid, she's free-flowing, she meets guys online and fuck them at hotels. Yes, that happened this episode. And this episode is very MA, very mature. Like, there's a shot of a dude putting on a condom in the mirror. And the guy is fully aware that Jill was underage and that Jill is transgender. But he goes along with it anyway. And later this episode, Jill goes to a party. And at this party, Jill gets confronted by Nate, the jock in the town. And Nate doesn't like Jill just because she's transgender. So in order to get Nate away from her, Jill cuts herself and starts bleeding on him a little bit, right? I'll get to Nate later. I'll explain why Nate went crazy and tried to attack Jill. Now, it's also pointed out in this episode that Jill's family is divorced and Jill is living with her father, who seems to be accepting of Jill's lifestyle. The episode ends with Jill and Ruth laying in the bed together. They are close friends and they seem to both get each other. They both are in a fucked up situation and they're both trying to figure themselves out. So let's get right into Nate. Nate is the jock of the show. Nate's best friend is Chris, who is a football player, so they're both jocks. But Chris isn't as much as a jock as Nate is. All Nate seems to care about is getting pussy and drinking and taking drugs. That's pretty much all he cares about. We don't see anything else from him this episode. And his whole dilemma this episode is because he broke up with Maddie. And they say right off the bat that Maddie is crazy, right? Maddie is crazy. So Chris throws a party and Maddie and Nate are there. Maddie and Nate both have different partners. So they try to make each other jealous. But Maddie takes it too far. She starts fucking a nigga in the pool. Just straight up fucking a dude in the pool. And you got kids around the pool like it's World Star taking pictures and filming and shit like that. This drives Nate crazy. And Nate goes into the kitchen and starts throwing shit around. And he sees Jill there, who he calls Jules. And he starts yelling things at Jules. Starts saying a bunch of shit like, who are you? Whose friend are you? Why are you here? He's just super frustrated and insecure right now. He's super vulnerable in this moment. Jill gets fed up and cuts herself and starts to bleed a little bit on Nate. Nate freaks out and runs away. So Nate is very insecure and has a hard time dealing with his emotions and really can't get over Maddie, who he just broke up with. So there's some struggle happening there. And Nate just hates Jules. Just hates her with a passion. Early on in the episode, Jill is riding a bicycle and Nate pulls right up to her and says, "Jump on my dick," which knocks over the bike and Jill falls into the grass. So he's bullying this transgender character essentially, and we don't really know why. It may be just because that character's transgender, but I have a feeling there's something more to it. Maybe Nate is secretly attracted to Jill. I don't know. Hopefully we'll figure that out. Now let's move on to Nate's best friend, Chris. Now Chris is in love with Cassie, but Cassie has a past, which is shown to him by Nate. Nate shows Chris a video of what appears to be Cassie fucking another dude, right? And it's not cheating, it's probably a video from the past. And he's saying that Cassie is a whore, she gets around. Which brings up the question that a lot of teens ask, controversy surrounding the body count. And they sort of bring it up later in this episode with Kat. Like, it's okay for dudes to fuck a bunch of women, but when women fuck a bunch of dudes, they're considered whores. There's a difference. And like I said, they point that out in so many ways this episode. The hypocrisy. Now, Chris doesn't want to believe that Cassie has had several partners in the past. So he's kind of unsure of himself right now. You know, Nate put that in his head and he's worried about that. And Nate basically tells him to fuck her and leave her, treat her like the whore she is. So when Chris meets Cassie at his party later on that night, there's this awkwardness there. They're both extremely awkward around each other. But eventually they get over the awkwardness and they start to have sex. Now there is a problem here. Right when they start to have sex, Chris gets a little bit aggressive, maybe thinking about what Nate said, treat her like a whore. He starts to choke her like what they do in pornos, aka treating her like a whore. And she's uncomfortable with this. And Chris stops right away. And Cassie mentions that she would be fine with it had he asked first, but he sort of just becomes aggressive out of nowhere. Anyway, they end up having sex anyway, and the next morning you see them in the bed together. Now, I was thinking that Chris may leave, get out the bed. I was thinking that they would show a scene like that to show that what Nate said kind of got to him, because he is really digging Cassie. I mean, he mentions in the episode that she's in love with cars. I don't know what the fuck that means, but it's good to have a girl that has similar interests to you. So he's really digging this chick. But what Nate said may fuck everything up. And this is a good lesson for all the kiddies out there. Don't let no other man tell you who to like or who to love. And the body count really doesn't matter. Women enjoy sex as much as men do. So don't let that fuck up your relationship. And it's pretty clear that Nate doesn't believe in his own philosophy, because he's jealous right now. Maddie is fucking another dude in the pool and he is really in his feelings. But if you go back to what he said, he might as well just treat her like a whore, man. Forget about her. Fuck her and leave her. But he's feeling it right now. So he obviously doesn't believe in what he said, because we know Maddie may have a high ass body count. Like, they pointed out that Cassie was a nice girl, but Maddie, I don't know. I don't know. I ain't trying to slut shame or nothing. I don't know though. I don't know. How many women just fuck dudes randomly in pools and shit they just met in front of like 40 people? So this brings me to my final character here, Kat. Now, Kat is the big girl of the show. And obviously a big girl deals with insecurities about how she looks. She's not as attractive as her friends are. She's the ugly duckling in the group of her friends. And she's really feeling it, because she's the only one out of all her friends that hasn't been laid yet. She's super thick, but she's not getting none of the shaft. Nobody's giving it up to her, and she's embarrassed by that. So at Chris's party, she gets pressured into having sex. Right? We don't know what happened. We just know that she was in a room with like 3 guys, and one of them convinced her to suck his dick, and then she comes out the room and says, "I lost my virginity." Now I'm thinking that they may have dog piled on her. There may have been some sort of gangbang thing happening, and the 2 dudes in the room were the brothers of Chris, and they were way younger than everybody else there. They may have been 14 or 15. But they were chilling at the party in the room with Kat. And I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't really trust his brothers. His brothers seem like some knuckleheads that'll do and say anything for some clout. They are clout demons. And they might have filmed it. And it might be revealed and shown to everyone. But yeah, that's pretty much what Kat does. Kat hangs out with Maddie and other girls. And, Maddie gets around. And Kat wants those same sexual experiences as Maddie. And she feels insecure that she's not getting any. And her weight factors into that. And I don't really think she's that big at all. She's thick, man. She's not that big at all. Know what I'm saying? She got a little shape to her. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that is the story with Kat. Let's get right into the preview. Now, they show a preview of the next episode. And I'm super happy. I love when shows show previews, especially previews that reveal certain things. And one major reveal in the preview is that the dude that Jill slept with may be the father of Nate, which makes a really interesting story. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. I don't even know what else to say. You know what I'm saying? They show that he is a married man. And he does have a family at the hotel, during that scene. So we know that. But if he's the father of Nate, Oh my God. All hell is going to break loose. Nate already hates Jill. Already. Right off bat. Just for being transgender. If he finds out that his father is fucking Jill, it's over. And this allows the showrunners to do some crazy stuff here. To do some social commentary. I mean, this whole show is some social commentary. Some SJW shit. And I love it. I love it to pieces. Now, I don't know if the preview was for the entire season or just the next episode. Because they show a lot. They show Kat, showing a little bit more skin now that she got some trim. She's showing a little bit more skin. She's confident. She got some dick. Now she's confident. She's no longer as insecure as she used to be. But they also show a scene of her in the corner crying. So I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Maybe the scenes are in reverse. Maybe she's confident first the next morning at school, and then later on she gets that notification that there is some revenge porn on the internet with her in it, getting bukkakied by like 3 dudes. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I'm your boy Bushido Spirit. Would you like me to review the next episode? I am really excited about this show. The cinematography is good. And I love the parts where Ruth is having those episodes where she is taking drugs. Because they really try to show the euphoria, the emotions, everything that she's having, everything going on with her body. They do some Inception type shit when she's high. Like they flip the camera on his head and she walking on the roof and shit. Like I love that. I love when shows get super creative. When they don't do the normal thing. They don't just do the normal camera angles. They experiment. But anyway, that's it for this episode review. Peace out. I give this shit a 10 out of 10. This shit about to be fire. This is a fire TV show.